Hi, this is Amy from Good Food Unearthed, and I want to talk to you today about how this is a free will universe. Stand in your sovereignty. So, I was listening to a recording of the global frontline nurses, and they were speaking out, and it came to me that there's a vitally important role that each one of us can all play right now. We cannot control the actions of others or the ultimate outcome of world events. We play our part to shift the direction simply by being who we are and standing in our power every single day. And we can choose to play a part in empowering others. This is a free will universe. Nothing happens to you. Who you are at your core, beyond the body, beyond the forms, without your consent. They want you to make yourself sick, to kill, to destroy, to decompose, to destructure yourself. We all die physically. However, how we experience that decomposition, destructuring is entirely within our own control. Right now, we have people who are being devastated through their experiences. But here's the thing, they don't have to be. Yes, there's the aspect of standing in your power, standing in your knowing, and saying no, making your boundaries known. But at the same time, if there's something outside of your control that changes that situation, you still, at the very least, the most important thing, really the one thing that we can all focus on, is to choose how we experience what is going on. People are choosing to mask themselves and make themselves sick. People are choosing to become depressed and they're making themselves sick in doing so. People are choosing to commit suicide. People are choosing to eat poorly to comfort themselves. People are choosing not to move around, letting themselves be paralyzed by fear. People are choosing to let fallouts happen with friends and family destroy their peace of mind. People are choosing to follow disturbing media stories and allowing themselves to get caught up in anxiety, fear, worry, stress, thereby playing out the drama as if it is their own. They're accepting that, putting that onto themselves to affect their day to day life. We are in complete control of how we approach what we think and feel in our individual experiences. Stand in your sovereignty. know that if you feel sadness, the sadness is not you, and you can face it with grace, love, and peace. The same goes for any emotion and any thoughts that those emotions ride upon. Habitual actions can seem impossible to override, but you absolutely 100% can do it in your own way. It doesn't make the sadness disappear, but you are no longer enslaved by that guest in your experience. You do not negatively judge it and try to suppress it, but you can greet it gracefully and with loving kindness and see what the message is it's trying to convey to you. And you can have that conversation and see what it reveals and know that it's not a threat. If you want to follow world events, follow them, but know that you do not need to absorb the emotional turmoil that comes with them, especially if you can't process it well. Observe the turmoil. Understand that some do get overwhelmed and caught up, which can give you compassion when interacting with anyone in such a state of being. It's not a permanent state, and they can always become grounded again through choice. You can choose not to feed into their persistence of keeping the drama going and choose instead to be that grounding force, a beacon back to their own calm center. Each one of us as individuals can take on that role to help to remind people of that awareness of what they're all capable of. And they're capable of it on their own. So they're not dependent on you or me or anybody else to remind them again. Because part of the reminding is that awareness that it always comes from within each one of you, each one of us. I know it may sound harsh when I say that it comes to your personal choice to be depressed or to choose to feel a certain way. And it's not necessarily choosing to feel one way or another, it's how you experience that feeling. And what I'm trying to do, what the intention of this is to remind you that you're not a victim. And you don't have to disempower yourself by saying that you're depressed and there's nothing you can do about it. Or all of this is horrible and you're stressed and worried and there's nothing you can do about it. There's always something you can do about it. And it doesn't have to be the way somebody else deals with it, because you'll know for yourself. You become your own best friend. And that is so essential for each one of us. Because something may have inspired you one day, and then the next day you're disappointed with it. And all of a sudden, your mood goes down and you feel like there's nothing in the world that can brighten your day. And what you're missing is that what you saw that inspired you, that thing was actually reminding you of a truth that exists within yourself. It was serving as a mirror. And the light that you got from that came from within you, not from without. If you see death as the only option for you, know that death comes to us all. And how you wish to experience that is your choice. If you're in that space, I just want you to know that that is actually an amazing place to be. It can be. Because this is a place of looking into the nature of reality of your existence. If you are brave enough to look at death without flinching, then explore that to the full. Have that intimate conversation with the silence and the space and the formless, and see what it reveals to you. And this is using your imagination. If you can do that, if you can face death, you will no longer fear death. And therefore, you will no longer fear life. So, life and death are one and the same, they go together. You can't have one without the other. Whatever life then brings to your doorstep has no power over you whatsoever. You are free. You can express yourself without the snares of other people's desires tying you down anymore. You know that no matter what another does to you, they cannot ultimately harm you. You know that however you end up dying, you can choose how you take in that experience, no matter what it is. It could be drowning, bleeding out, heart attack, bombing, fire, trauma, or just simply not waking up. There is a death meditation that anyone can practice, and it utilizes your immensely powerful imagination. Play out your death experience in your mind to the extent that you actually feel it, like it's really happening, as if you're an incredibly talented actor in a virtual reality play. What do you feel physically, emotionally, psychologically? You can do the same meditation for whatever horrors, whatever fears you imagine might happen to you in your life. Challenge yourself. What if this happened? What would I do? What would that really be like? And you know what? What you will discover is that no death, no horror has any power over you whatsoever. Because at any time during the experience, you alone control how you experience it. If you feel depressed, anxious, thinking there's no way out for you, that everything is coming against you, and so on, well, ask yourself, is that really how it is? Or am I caught in a hole of my own making and not seeing that there are actually other options available to me. And if that is really how it is, right then, in that moment, why are you choosing to embody a perception of that destroys you? Why are you letting the actions of others dictate how you experience that moment? The absolute most horrific event could happen to you, but it's ultimately up to you how you choose to experience it. Remember, you, who you are, is not your body, is not any form, it's not any label, not any reputation, not how anyone views you, not anything whatsoever that can ever be bound. To think so is to entrap yourself in a particular perception. And sometimes this is necessary for an individual, for their growth and evolution. It's not a bad thing to be trapped. Just know that you don't have to be. If there is a hell, should that turn out to be the case, so what? Again, once you know who you are, it doesn't matter what your experience brings to your doorstep. If you imagine hell is eternal, then again, so what? You still decide how you experience it. If I were to discover that my reality is an existence of constant torture tactics to elicit pain and suffering, I would A, choose to laugh and make it ridiculous, even if I have to cycle through it again and again. And B, if I was somehow not conscious I had a choice, what would it matter? I would not be conscious that there is an alternative, and it would therefore not be a torture, but just an experience. I would have no comparison to make me feel that my existence is horrible in some way. It is when we become conscious of another reality that we have grown and are able to see it, to feel it, to know it, and this is natural. To be moralizing, judgmental about any experience you have only limits your ability to let it go and change. You can play out these scenarios in your imagination and really get into it if you are ready to explore it. If not, then don't try it. It can be comparable to using psychedelics. If you're prepared to face anything that arises for you with strength, grace, and love, you will be fine. But if you don't feel prepared to face your fears, it might be better to wait and try softer approaches. You know yourself. We, each one of us, can be examples of this grace, strength, and loving kindness. Examples of showing how a person can live in full sovereignty, which means they're masters of themselves regardless of uncontrollable circumstances. We can be that beacon for others. If they don't see it, that is okay. It's not their time to see it. But we are there for those who are ready and who freely choose that they want to grow in that direction. We can be a life raft for those who ask, simply by us being fully sovereign, fully authentic. It works like magnetism. And the more opposition each one of us faces, the more we strengthen our presence. Because each person approaching us as a challenge is our experience asking us at every instance, which direction do you want to go? Are you aligned with yourself? Are you truly within your sovereignty? And to end, I just want to remind anyone listening that when I say master of yourself, your sovereignty, individual sovereignty, explore what that means. To know thyself, to be master, there can be no oppression, there can be no repression, suppression of anything about you, of anything you're experiencing. So, whatever other individuals are facing right now, however difficult it is, just know that you have it within you to be your light. Always, no matter what's going on, no matter how difficult it is. And when you do that, you not only become a light for yourself, but you become that reminder to others. And that's the most essential thing that any one of us can do. Thank you for listening.